Overheard a disgusting conversation at work about infant girls. I work at winery. Yesterday while I was working the wine shop restocking bottles, a party was leaving. 2 60s-ish old men and some older ladies that were probably their moms. The older ladies went to use the restroom and the men leaned against the counter of the wine shop with their backs to me. They didn't notice me. Or more likely didn't care that I was there. Man 1 So when's the baby due? Is she still being a bitch? Man 2 Yeah, she's always been. I thought my daughter-in-law getting pregnant would soften her heart. But she's adamant she won't let us see the baby until a week after she's born. Man 1 I wouldn't worry too much. Your son wouldn't allow for that disrespect. He's catering to her because she's pregnant. Once she's not anymore, he'll put her in her place. Man 2 That's what I said to my son. He didn't give a straight answer but he knows I'm right. She won't even budge on the name. Man 1 Is that still an issue? I thought everyone told her how bad it was. Man 2 We did, but she's dead set on Georgia Evelyn. Can she not hear how awful that sounds? I suggested names like Crystal, Brandy or Alexis but she wouldn't budge. Said it was her grandma's name and she's absolutely sure it's the right move. Condescending laugh. Man 1 Any of those would be better than Georgia. Yuck. Can you imagine moaning Georgia during sex? No man wants to fuck a Georgia. I keep suggesting better names but she won't listen. At this point I stopped my task and walked away. They left shortly after. But my face was burning red. Apparently all these types of men think about women, even unborn baby girls, is how fuckable they will be. It didn't occur to me until after they left that the alternative name suggestions were largely common in the porn industry. This little girl doesn't have a chance with men like that in her life. I hope the mom knows how fucked up her in-laws are. And more than that, I hope her guy stands up for her. It was all so disgusting and discouraging. Edit to add I think Crystal, Brandy, and Alexis are all beautiful names. I hope anyone reading this with those names does not feel insulted, as it was certainly not my intent. It was the grouping of those particular names that made me think of the adult film industry, not the individual names themselves. Edit 2 There are a lot of comments suggesting this interaction did not happen. I truly wish you were correct. I wish I never heard any of this, as I will never forget. But 2 men, both around the same age as my own father, said these things, and didn't care that I heard. Of course the sentences are not word for word, but I did accurately portray the truly awful things that were said a foot away from me like I did not exist. I am sorry to those of you calling it rage-abate. It is indeed rage-inducing to be sexualized before birth, and to have people call you a liar for calling it out. Sounds like her desire to keep grandpa away from her kid is spot on. I hope the son doesn't budge. Totally disgusting. It didn't occur to me until after they left that the alternative name suggestions were largely common in the porn industry. That was my immediate thought when I read the sentence. Ugh. I wasn't even there. And the incident you describe makes my skin crawl. Also, as an aside, I think Georgia Evelyn is a very pretty name. There's so much to unpack here. It's awful LMAO. The complete disregard for the DIL's boundaries. How dare she ask for some alone time after having given birth? I highly doubt she was being a bitch considering the way these 2 talk about anything else. And don't forget the baby not even being able to escape the sexualization by still being in the MF womb. I'll never understand why anyone tries to portray protection as a male masculine trait. After the billionth story about men acting like this, you'd think people would be able to see the bigger picture. Woman facepalming medium skin tone. This is so discouraging for the world. But your reflection on this event serves as a reminder that there are more men than you think there are out there who do not give a flying fuck about or respect women. Like, at all. A truly horrific experience. I'm sorry you were exposed to such awful misogynist bullshit. Having a conversation about how fuckable an unborn fucking child will be in the future based on their name is one of the most disgusting things I've read about in a long while. I hope he never ever gets to be anywhere near his grandchild. Jesus wept. They're both sick cunts. Women can't escape sexualization, even if they weren't born yet. This is one of those situations where I hear something so blatantly disgusting that I just emotionally disassociate. Unfortunately, that happens to me a lot. On a sociological level, it's both fascinating and disgusting. We're 2 years out from a pandemic and there are people who believe that taking precautions with infants is somehow disrespectful to them. It's main character syndrome, its most despicable incarnation. EW. 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 Those men are disgusting. I hope Georgia Evelyn's mum realizes that and cuts Gramps out of their lives. Also, Georgia Evelyn is a lovely name. My youngest daughter's name is Georgia. We've had nothing but compliments on her name since she was born. Oh, that's so pretty, what a great name, I love that name. Etc. She's the only one in her entire school. I'd even say probably the whole district. Grandpa sounds like a sick old bastard to say some shit like that about his own expected granddaughter. I think the son knows better and will be supportive of his wife. The lack of a straight answer gives me hope. And this is why Granddad won't be allowed near the baby, alone, ever. EWW, that's gross. This should be one of those TikToks where you try to find the dill so she knows how awful she and her unborn baby are being talked about behind their backs. These men are talking about how fuckable his unborn granddaughter is going to be. Talking about what it would be like to moan her name during sex. He'll put her in her place. No man wants to fuck a Georgia daughter-in-law might want to keep her baby away from grandpa on a more permanent basis. She would be entirely justified. And Georgia Evelyn is not just a pretty name. It's a strong one. The other suggested names are, as other commenters have said, porn star names. Yeesh. If my Phil even got close to that territory, he would never lay eyes on my daughter. I would take her and run if my husband insisted on Phil seeing her. And baby's name is so not his business. My oldest has a very common male first name and GMIL tried to get me to use his also common middle name instead. She got the "he's my baby, not yours" talk, and there was no comment from her on my younger two's very Celtic names. Good thing she didn't know my daughter is named after a Celtic goddess. Blees her Southern Baptist heart. I know this isn't the main focus, but I really have to know. Do people actually moan the other person's name during sex? Is that actually a thing? Or is it just a, well, is it even a porn thing? I haven't watched much porn, and when I do it's mostly on silent, but I haven't come across it there either. Someone let me know. Of course the rest of it is absolutely abhorrent. That's a given. And they deserve chronic diarrhea and all year round allergies for being absolute shit bags. Good God, they sound absolutely insufferable. I'm pregnant with a little girl. My first, I'm terrified.